everyone. We're going to continue our learning today, and now we're going to talk about motivation. Motivation in learning, particularly, is our focus today. I've already tested you guys out with what motivates you. So we know that there are 7 things that motivate us. They inspire us to do things we would ordinarily not do. Your love for family can cause you to go and take an additional degree so you can earn more money to support your family. That is a motivation. All right, so today we're going to look at exploring the difference in explore difference in context of learning. What is difference? Okay, we'll describe motivation and look at the impact of motivation on learners. We'll look at the role of motivation in learning and explore human behavior. We tested your motivation, and then we will explore Maslow's hierarchy of needs so that you can understand where you are. What are the things that motivate you? Are they very low things, or are they high level items that motivate you? So let's look at the idea of difference. Okay, so this idea is being brought just to remind you that learners, are motivated differently. They have different learning needs. They have different characteristics. Like my picture there shows, you have learners with black hair, with golden hair or blonde hair. We have learners who are of African origin, Caucasian origin, or Asian origin. They're wearing different colors. They smile differently. They all behave differently. So the idea of difference is essential to understanding motivation and active learning, which ultimately we're studying today beyond this slide. Okay, so your learner characteristics talks about their ages, their previous knowledge, their levels, maybe they're in year 1 or year 7 or year 10, whatever levels they are in. Are they shy learners? Are they dominant learners? You need to understand the characteristics, the key characteristics of your learners. They might be male, they might be females, and there are differences in their behaviors based on their distinct and unique characteristics. So it's important for you to remember that. Learners have different needs, okay? So to motivate a learner, you have to focus also in their needs. A learner might be finding a concept difficult to understand. It may be that the person has a learning need. How can you support that need? How can you motivate them to engage some more? Okay, so you need to keep that in context. These topics here are all part of learning psychology. I'm not teaching them. I'm just passing through them, as it were. Learning styles. Learners prefer to learn in different ways. Okay, they prefer to learn in different ways. We have people who are largely auditory learners. We have those who are kinesthetic learners, and then we have those who are visual learners. Okay, they love to see. The kinesthetic learners love to have hands-on experience. The auditory learners like to listen. They love your lectures. Oh, they are really great when it's lecture time. Okay, they do well in lectures because they're auditory learners. And in certain environments, the best students are auditory learners because most teachers are still using the old style of teaching, lecture. So it means a kinesthetic learner is looked in that classroom as being laid back or being unintelligent. Meanwhile, it's the method of teaching. So your auditory learners come out being the best in your class, while the kinesthetic learners are not performing their best. Why? Because you have limited them by using only one technique. All right, so a learner cannot be strictly auditory. It's just that they have a bias towards auditory. They could also be kinesthetic, a measure of kinesthetic learners, a measure of visual learners, and all of that. Multiple intelligences, we're not teaching it here, but we have interpersonal skills. There are learners who are great with interaction. We say they have interpersonal skills. So those kind of learners will be good in group work. Then we have learners with intrapersonal skills. They're usually more quiet. They're very reflective. Now, you might ignore them in your class, but that topic you're teaching, they understand it probably better than every other person in that class because they've reflected deeply. But since you don't draw them out, you never know. You just think, oh, they're laid back or there's something, but they're probably one of your best learners. Reflective learners are learners who understand. Now, sometimes you might have two siblings or two learners. One is intrapersonal, very outward, very outgoing, and can present all the facts you want. The intrapersonal one, the one who has that skill, they know themselves more. They deeply reflect. You just think they don't understand the concept. If you ask the one with the interpersonal skills to define a concept, they define it so easily. Ask the other one, and instead of defining, they lay a background. They describe. And if you lose patience with them, you think they don't know it. No, no. If you give them the chance to describe it, they will describe beyond the measure of the other learner who quoted your language. Okay, so we need to understand that some learners learn very well with logical thinking. They're mathematical in their approach to learning. You need to understand them. There are those who have literary skills. They're good with language. There are those who have multiple musical intelligence. They're the ones who, when they are reading, they have their music on. If you bring in rhyme into the classroom, if you teach them formula through a song, oh my goodness, they're fantastic. All right, you can even play music in your classroom. When I did my MEd training, every single day we'd come into the class. We used to wonder, what's this? Today our classroom has been arranged in horseshoe fashion. Tomorrow we come, it's in conference room style. The next day we come, it's like a restaurant. Why? Our tutor was teaching us practically because we're going to be teacher trainers. He wanted us to realize that the shape of the classroom affects and influences the behavior of learners. So when we are in conference style, everybody has a business approach to learning. When we're in restaurant style, you see all of us, we just relax, stretch our legs, and we're really enjoying the lesson, and we're very relaxed. When we're in horseshoe fashion, we find ourselves engaging more, discussing, because we are in a smaller group, as it were, because we've been brought closer to each other, and we do a lot of more talking in that manner. So just to tell you that multiple intelligences brings out different things in people. What are the other styles? If I could just remember them, there's those who have spatial awareness, okay, like artists. Okay, they are aware, they have an awareness of space that you and I don't really have as much of. Okay, for example, when my son was about, how old was he? About 12, 13, we were moving house somewhere, and there was a piece of furniture that couldn't enter into the door, and the movers were trying to push it in through the balcony, and it just could not go. They tried every single way, it just was not working. And then my 13-year-old son looks at it, and he says to them, turn the furniture this way and move it in. And they did exactly that, and it entered. That is an example of spatial awareness. Some people are gifted. They can rearrange your house for you. They are gifted in art. They are gifted in architecture. All right. So we have different multiple intelligences. I think there are about 12 of them. I've not mentioned some of them. Then there's equality of access, which we'll explore today. Under learner-centeredness, there's differentiation, which I will just talk briefly about. But the whole idea is that learners are different. They learn differently. They have different needs. They look different. They behave differently. They have multiple intelligence. They have a range of gifts and talents in them. And if you want a learner to perform better, you need to be able to look more closely at that learner so that you can understand their needs. Can anybody see my slides, please? Please, anyone should confirm if they can see my slides. Could you please confirm? I haven't gone beyond difference. I'm on one slide. Yes, thank you very much. I'm just on one slide. So let's go quickly. I've taken quite a bit of time on that slide. So what